It's the Brad and John Show.
John, tell me what you thought of that last promo.
Oh, I love it. It's so upbeat. I've never heard, even at a mega church, a headbanger type anthem like that.
Coming soon.
Didn't you have some make-believe, didn't you have some totally legitimate update to your February shiny object? Like, how long, weren't you going to do something with GodSquad.cloud and keep it up for the next couple weeks or so?
Coming soon. Announcement.
I bet it is, Brad.
Coming soon. Maybe even tomorrow. Okay. What do we do in the B block, John? And by the way, today's the 17th of February. This is the B block, the Bravo block. And in the B block, what do we do, John?
It's time for Brad's Top 3.
It's time for Brad's Top 3.
That's right. And we start off with...
It's number 3.
I don't want to be the old curmudgeon guy that John says I am, but...
Yeah.
I am tired of the Nancy Guthrie thing. Look, it's a terrible situation, and I can speak with a little bit of empathy here because my mom disappeared. And
wow, really?
Yeah, I will tell the story someday if you want to hear the story of how I now have an ex-brother and an ex-sister. They took my mom away, and she disappeared. And for several months, I had no idea where she was. True story, okay? The Nancy Guthrie...
Was she tired of your AI jingles?
No. The Nancy Guthrie thing, I've said this before, and once again, I feel sorry for the Guthrie family. I feel sorry for anybody who has this happen to them. If there's their mother, there's all sorts of crazy stories about people that disappear. If you listen to ads on the radio, if you listen to iHeart, there's 3 or 4 different shows, podcasts, promos for podcast shows there's one about a couple. They went out on a first date and they've never seen again. Their car was never seen again. They just disappeared off the face of the earth. This is sad, but if this were John Combest's mom or my mom or any of you listeners' mothers, this would not be happening. There would not be 14,000 police officers covering this. There would not be a helicopter that now, if you've heard the latest story, they have a new helicopter unit that has a very sensitive Bluetooth scanning device on the bottom, and they're flying patterns over Tucson trying to pick up her pacemaker because her pacemaker has a Bluetooth connection. Okay? Enough. The lady has been taken. The sad part of it is she's probably dead, because they've said numerous times she's on all sorts of medications, and if she doesn't have her meds, she's not going to survive. I doubt very seriously. And this is an interesting thing. Have you ever heard the authorities say, and her meds were all gone, right? Have you ever heard that, John?
No, you're right. I haven't heard anything about that.
Right. So her meds, which means her meds are probably there at her bedside, in her bathroom, wherever she keeps them. And unfortunately, she's gone upstairs with Dr. Camille Winter. I hate to say that, but I got a feeling this is going to turn out to be one of these things where there's never going to be any closure on this. It's just never going to happen. It's just going to be one of these mysteries that's going to live on forever. I feel extremely sorry for the Guthrie family. And once again, if it wasn't for Savannah Guthrie being on Today's Show, no one would even know 1/10 of the story. No one would even know who Nancy Guthrie was.
Right, of course. But I mean, I'm not pushing back on you in that regard, Brad. But we all kind of feed into that because Savannah Guthrie is a celebrity. It's not Savannah's fault.
I get it. But even when you have the Trumpster coming out and saying, we're going to give the death penalty. Okay, first off, here's the crazy thing. He's talking through his hat, or whatever you want to call it, because of the fact that this is not a federal case, even though the FBI is in on it. This would probably be prosecuted under the state of Arizona. I mean, I'm not an attorney. Don't play one on TV. But I think that if there were attorneys listening, they would probably agree with what I just said. So Trump has no input on this, because I don't think that the part of the case involves the Fed. Now, if they turn out that she is alive and they carried her across the state line, yeah, that would be the case. But I don't think that's the case. I think she's going to never be found. Never be found. And
so you're done with this story and you wish people would just put it to bed.
It's gotten to the point where whenever TMZ is heavily involved in a story, you have to say, okay, get what I'm saying, John?
Yeah, and also think of how much, to be extra cynical, think of how much revenue has been created by companies covering this story.
No, I understand. And think of all the journalists who are making money, and think of all the YouTubers who are out there, getting views and making money from their YouTube accounts and things like that. I get it. I understand.
As long as it keeps the feds away from Whistling Dixie, that's all I care about.
Whistling Diesel, and it's not the feds after him. It's
that's right. Whatever.
It's the Tennessee State Police. Okay, ready for number 2?
It's
Yeah,
time
Brad.
for Brad's number 2.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to throw John a curve. I've done this already. I think the elimination of the safety inspections is a huge mistake. And that's moving right through the House right now, isn't it? You know about that, right?
Yeah, I would assume that if people went to johncombest.com today, they could find the latest news stories about it up today.
I think it's a huge mistake. I think the safety inspections are good. The one I don't like is the stupid emissions control thing. Because remember, John, when you had to go to the emissions place and they put your car up on the treadmill? Remember that crazy thing?
I do remember it, yeah.
And then it was like, and they stuck a thing up your tailpipe. I mean, I'm telling you.
Easy, Brad. We're not talking about Dave Sinclair here.
That always bothered me when they put that thing up my tailpipe. But anyway, now they check your OBD2 port. It's like, okay, whatever. And the crazy thing about this is, if you live in Warren County, if you live in Lincoln County, if you live on the other side of the river, if you live in any of the counties, Madison, St. Clair, Monroe, Clinton County, you don't have this stupid emissions thing. If you live in Kansas City, if you live in any other county in the state of Missouri, I don't believe Kansas City has this. If you live in any other county in the state of Missouri besides St. Louis City, St. Louis County, St. Charles County, Jefferson County, and Franklin County, there's no emissions. And get rid of that stupid thing. But you know why they can't do that, John?
Why can't they?
Because that's the feds.
Oh, yeah, it's a federal smog thing.
Right, it's a federal law, so they can't do anything with that. Okay, are you ready for number 1? And number 1?
I got to hear a little something about the Flowtown, Brad.
Number 1's going to be a banger, John. Here we go.
And now, big finish, Brad's number 1.
On Sunday, I bought something on Facebook Marketplace. Matter of fact, I bought something from this woman who I bought something from a couple other times, even to the point where I don't even need my GPS to find her house. She lives off of Patterson.
I bet you don't, Brad. Is it a certain service that involves a massage table?
No.
Oh, okay.
What's interesting is she's one of the classic Facebook Marketplace people, where she's got this down to a science, where you tell her what you want. She's got a bunch of stuff advertised on Facebook. You tell her what you want, and you tell her what time you're going to be there, and she puts it out in her driveway, and she's got a little metal box attached to the front of her house, and you put the money in the box. So she uses the honor system, okay? So I drive up into Florissant on Sunday. I guess it was probably about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, go up. As a matter of fact, I got off 270, went up Graham Road and cut through on Washington and came up on Patterson. Okay, and you know where Patterson is? You know where
I know exactly where Patterson is, baby. The Love and Oven was located off of Patterson.
Right, and this is the stretch of Patterson that has all the high tension Ameren UE power lines. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about.
I do know that. I know that area.
Okay, so you cross under the power lines, and I'm not going to say the lady street. So and the interesting part of this is, as I'm driving up Patterson, I saw, and I noticed these kind of crazy things. There was a flock camera right there on Patterson. So I made a left into the street, walked up, we knew where the house was, walked up, the stuff was on the driveway, put my money in the box, threw what I bought in the back of my car, and away I go. I start going down Patterson, and I realize right behind me is a Florissant police car. And I'm thinking to myself, OMG, this guy is on my bumper. I'm getting pulled over. He follows me all the way down Patterson to the stoplight. He's sitting behind me at the stoplight. Stoplight turns green. We cross over Lindbergh. Lights come on. And I pull across Lindbergh and pull into it wasn't the White Castle, but I think it's like a Baskin Robbins or something like that, right on Lindbergh. And there's a rear entrance to the parking lot where the employees park, right off of Patterson. I pull over, and once again, John, what's the first thing I did? Because I'm the author of The Perfect Traffic Stop. What's the first thing I did, John? Think about it for a minute.
You rolled down your window and said, "Do you know who I am?"
I turned my car off. I put the keys on the dashboard. I put my hands on the steering wheel at 10 to 2. I looked straight forward, and I glanced at the side view mirror, and it took a couple minutes for him to get out of the car. And I'm going like, okay, he's waiting for a backup. So he walks up to my window, and he says, "Why are these license plates on the wrong car?" Now, this is what's interesting about this is because John's going to laugh about this. I have 3 vehicles that essentially have the same license plate, okay? And do I dare give out what my license plate number is, John?
Yeah, well, because there's not a number in it.
Okay, there's no number in it. It's all letters. And the letters happen to be Q's, okay? So I have 3 versions of that. So you can probably figure out one of them has X amount of Q's, one of them has X amount of Q's, and one of them has X amount of Q's. And he says, this and the car I'm driving is a Mazda. And he says, the license plate on this car should be on a Ford. And I said, I think you entered that into your computer wrong. And he says, what do you say? What are you talking about? I go, you didn't put in the right number of Q's. And he says, how do you know? I said, because this happens to me all the time. I get pulled over about every 2 months. And he says, hold on, I'll go back and rerun it. So he does go back and rerun it. Now, here's the interesting thing. When he ran it on his computer in his car, he put in the proper number of Q's. But then when he comes up to the window, he laughs and he says, you're right. This is the right license plate on this car. And I said, and I go, did you not put in the proper number of Q's the first time around? And he says, no, I didn't run it. The dispatcher ran it, and she obviously missed one of the Q's because the 5 Q's is my other car, which they ran. Instead of 6 Q's, they ran 5 Q's, okay? Then he tells me an interesting story. It wasn't an accident that he happened up behind me. The flock camera flagged me. When I drove by the flock camera, it flagged me as, are you ready for this, John?
Yeah, I'm ready.
A fugitive warrant.
Oh, very nice. And what was, so describe that. How did you get flagged for that?
It came up on and for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, flock cameras, they're everywhere nowadays, and there's a lot of controversy about them lately. We had a story a couple weeks ago about a department up in Wisconsin that took them out because they thought it was too invasive. The way the police system works is they have all the stolen cars and all the warrants and everything loaded into the system. So if you were like a scofflaw, you like that term, John? Scofflaw?
I love that word.
And
love that word.
If you're a scofflaw and you have your license plate entered in the computer as you're wanted for whatever, robbery or battery or stuff like that, when you drive by one of these flock cameras, depending upon what your municipality is, they get I don't know what kind of alert, I don't know if it's email or something like that. Somehow they get an instant alert that says, and it shows up on a screen. It actually shows the picture of the vehicle. It shows where the flock camera is, and it shows direction of travel. And that's what happened. And it cued my car, pardon the pun, cued my car.
It cued it.
It cued my car as being a fugitive. This happened on the way up to the lady's house because I remember exactly where the flock camera is because I see these things all the time. Oh, there's another flock camera. Florissant's got flock cameras. So when I came out, I didn't realize this. Apparently, he might have been in the area because he was sitting, and I didn't realize at this time. He told me this. He was sitting up in Patterson. He saw me come out of this side street. Because I'm thinking to myself, when I looked at my rearview mirror, I go, where did he come from? Because, as soon as I turned onto Patterson, he's on my tail. I'm thinking, okay, so.
Seemingly out of nowhere.
Yes, out of nowhere, but he was waiting for me because he was cued by the flock system. So he tells me that my license plate, and this is funny, my license plate has a fugitive warrant out for it for assault and battery and like 3 other crimes and stuff like that. But here's the interesting part of the system. The flock camera picked it up as zeros, not as Q's. So the flock.
And is that because your car is so dirty?
No, it's because if you look at the Missouri license plate, the Q is not a very good Q. It's a little tiny thing in the corner. Some Qs have like a big, slash through them and stuff like that. The Qs are real small. And I get this all the time. People say, your license plate's all zeros. I go, no, it's all Qs. And they go, oh, I didn't notice that. So some knucklehead. But here's the interesting part of it. I didn't say anything to him. I thought to myself, okay, here we go once again. This is the situation because I doubt if there's a license plate out there that's 0000000. Somebody entered this into the computer as John Smith, who's wanting for, whatever the crimes were, this guy.
Battery. And they didn't want to fill out an actual license plate, so they just put
0000000.
And you've had similar interactions before.
With my other plate, which has 2 digits, and the same thing happened with that one. So, and after that, it was funny because I think this is interesting. The cop, when he originally came up to me, was all business. But after him and I talked back and forth, and he explained me, and he was like joking with me, hey, man, why in the world do you want that license plate? You know, I told him, I said I pulled over all the time. And I said to him, I said, didn't I do the perfect traffic stop? And he asked me, and once again, when he asked me for my license, I say, my license is in my right shirt pocket. Officer, can I reach into my right shirt pocket? And he did ask me if I had weapons in the car, and I was not carrying that day. Normally I do, but I do not. And I told him, I said, I have a concealed carry permit, but I'm not carrying today. And I asked him if I can reach into my right front shirt pocket, and pull out my driver's license. He says, yes, go ahead. And I asked him after the whole thing was over, we were joking around. I go, was that the perfect traffic stop? He said, you did great. So once again.
So you got a pat on the head, Brad. And once again, now, isn't that another endorsement for, I don't know, perfecttrafficstop.com?
See, and do I get a ticket? No, I've got one ticket. If I ever tell you this crazy story, John, I got a ticket out in Wildwood, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. And the crazy part of that is I beat that ticket because of the fact that the crazy, weird stuff with these munis that don't have their own prosecutor, that the attorney, and they, if you know the whole story, some of the smaller munis don't have a full-time prosecutor, and they essentially just hire a law firm. And I had a woman attorney who was prosecuting the ticket against me, St. Louis County, the whole bit, and just it was like, has she ever been to court before? I mean, I'm not an attorney. She is. And air after air after air after air. And then the crazy part of that story was when I pleaded down to a parking ticket, a month later, I get a letter in the mail saying I have to go back to court because the agreement has been overturned. So I go back to court, and I end up dealing with the guy who's the head of the law firm, who apologizes to me and essentially says, you don't even have to go back into court. I'll take care of this. No harm, no foul. Sorry this happened. See you later. Bye. And what happened was she made an illegal, or I shouldn't say illegal. I guess it technically wasn't illegal. She made an illegal maneuver in the court system, and what she did with me was against the court system. She's an attorney. Shouldn't she know that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. Depending on where she went to law school, Brad, it sounds like she probably didn't go somewhere the echelon of your daughter.
Yeah, look at my daughter.
Did you know they give tours there and they give you cool facts about the number of women in the law school?
John, you're going to beat me up on that, aren't you?
A wonderful woman taught me that. And she told me for a while that her name was Gabriella. And then she broke down in tears and she's like, my dad hated me so much that he gave me the name Amanda. And I was like, why would anyone name you Amanda when you can have a beautiful name like Gabriella?
No, her name, the name was Gabrielle. And John, to this day, I saw her just recently, and a reminder of this, when she was young, my nickname for her is AWG, which stands for Amanda Worm Girl, because if I picked her up, she squirmed around like a worm and she would squirm around like a worm, and she would actually hit me on the chest and say,
because she wanted to be let down,
no.
which is a familiar pattern for every woman in your life.
And she said, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Okay. In my mind, I can still see it like it happened yesterday. I would come home after a long, hard day of slaving over a hot microphone. I would unlock the front door, and the way our
and you
house,
had a long, skinny hallway that would lead to the kitchen. It was like one of those shotgun-style houses.
Right. And my daughter would come running from the living room because she would hear the door open. She would come running from the living room, and I could still see it. She would slide across the kitchen floor to the point where she stopped, and she looked down that hallway, and she took one look at me, and she gave that scowl on her face. She scrunched up her face, and she goes, "Ew, I hate you," and she'd run away. That's my daughter.
I mean, that's the feel-good story. My favorite part of your daughter is when you called her one day and you tried to get her to comment on something semi-political, and she just said, I gotta go. I'm not gonna be a part of this. It was the only time on the air we've ever spoken to your daughter.
You want me to call her this morning and see?
Absolutely not. Let's not put that. That woman grew up with you. She has been through enough.
Her birthday's coming up next month. You know what I do on my kid's birthday? I call them on the air. So we'll call her on the air next month. Well, you don't call
your daughter because she's going to say she doesn't want to be a part of whatever this is.
Okay, we need to take a break. We're way over on this one.